And this is a area control game that plays over 4 rounds, where players are going to be taking turns performing one of 4 actions. Form an action, players are going to be taking meeples from their player board and then issuing them out to the different locations out on the main board. And the first action you can do is to build a structure. And whenever you build a structure, it pretty much means that you're going to be putting one of these structure cards out onto the board. And when you do that, you're going to have to pay coins in order to build that structure. Then you can place it on one of your controlled areas, or you can put it in an uncontrolled area. And whenever you do that, you'll actually be able to gain control of that area by putting your colored token there. Each of the areas are separated into different regions with different color palettes out on the main board, and the structures within those regions also have a victory point value associated with them. And if you are the player to control a region at the end of the game, you're going to be gaining the victory points of that structure card. The second action you can perform is to gather resources from a structure. Whenever you do this, you'll just be putting one of your meeples out onto one of the spaces of a structure. And whenever you do that, you'll just be gaining the resources depicted on that structure. But if the region is controlled by another player, there is a smaller number of resources that will be awarded to that player. But of course, it's always better if you control that region, so the third action you can perform is to initiate combat in any of the regions that you choose. And whenever a player does this, the attacking player is going to be able to include 2 of their defender cards in that battle, adding their strength to that battle. And then the defending player is only going to be able to use the cards that they've already placed in that region, which I will come back to in a minute here. Then each player is also going to be able to choose 1 combat card to put into the battle, and then all the players are going to be revealing these cards all at once and then resolving those cards. Of course, it's the player with the most strength that wins and gets to claim that region, but players will have to resolve any modifiers from their combat cards, as well as any modifiers from the actual defender cards that they did put into battle. And whichever defender cards you use to win that battle are going to be the cards that stay in that region after the battle's resolved. And in addition to all these different regions, there's also a special location located in the middle of the board known as the Citadel, and players are going to want to have control over that for as many rounds as they can, because each round they're able to hold the possession of the Citadel, you're going to be gaining victory points at the end of those rounds. Attacking the Citadel does work a little bit differently than attacking any of the other regions, so it is considered a different action than the combat action. But anytime that a player performs the build action or the gather resource action, they'll also have the option to add or modify their defender cards to any of the regions that they control. So that's one of the ways that you can beef up some of your regions and get some defense against the other players that might go ahead and attack you. And there's a shared market where players can spend their resources to add more defender cards into their hand. And then at the end of 4 rounds, players are going to be adding up all their victory points and their endgame victory points for any of the regions that they control. And then the player with the most victory points wins the game. And as always, if you find this one interesting, there's links in the description below.